again. Wale Edun speaks after Tinubu's meeting with Dangote others. Minister of Power gives update on power crisis in North, promises restoration in 72 hours. And Asari Dokubo threatens Tinubu, warns Wike to back off Fubara. Details now. Thank you for staying with us. In the face of mounting economic challenges, the administration of President Bola Tinubu through the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited has raised the pump price of petrol. VP News gathered that the revised prices mean residents in Lagos and Abuja will now pay 1,025 naira and 1,060 naira per litre, respectively. October petrol was priced at 1,030 naira in Abuja and 998 in August at NNPCL stations, while other stations charged between 1,150 and 1,200 per litre. Now, NNPCL stations in Lagos and Abuja displayed the updated prices today, a move attributed to prevailing economic conditions that could further strain Nigerians already facing a steep rise in the cost of living. Since President Tinubu took office on May 29, 2023 and announced the end of the fuel subsidy, petrol prices have soared from 145 to over 1,000 naira, intensifying the financial strain on citizens. Many Nigerians have since dropped the President T-Pain in response to the economic hardships experienced under his administration. While in Kaduna today, we saw a truck that fell, and most of the food items that poured on the floor, precisely pasta and rice, residents were seen packing them on the floor. Most of the edible items were already mixed with the sand, but they didn't care. They packed it all off. This tells the extent at which the economic crunch has bedeviled the entire nook and cranny of the country. Also, President Bola Tinubu has met with the Crude, Oil and Refined Product Sales in Local Currency Implementation Committee to assess progress on using Naira for crude sales to local refineries. The committee, led by the Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Mr. Wale Edun, convened at the State House, Abuja, for the strategic review today. Speaking to journalists after the meeting, Edu explained that the discussion focused on implementing the President's directive to transition crude oil sales to local refineries using Naira, a move made feasible by the establishment of the Dangote refinery. He credited the initiative to President Tinubu's commitment to reducing Nigeria's foreign exchange dependency and highlighted Dangote's investment as pivotal to its success. Edu affirmed that all stakeholders, including the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, the Central Bank of Nigeria, and the regulatory bodies, are committed to ensuring the plan's success, addressing any initial challenges, and sustaining the new approach. The policy aims to stabilize the naira and support economic resilience in the face of ongoing foreign exchange constraints. Now, the Minister of Power, Adebayo Adelabu, has announced that electricity will be restored to northern Nigeria within 72 hours. Speaking to senators today, Adelabu addressed the widespread outages affecting the region and national grid failures. Now, the Transmission Company of Nigeria previously reported that on October 22, the 330 kilovolt Ugwaji uphill transmission lines tipped, causing outages across the northeast, northwest, and parts of central Nigeria. This trip in the Ugwaji transmission line caused most of the blackout. Independent System Operator Executive Director Nafisatu Ali confirmed that insurgents vandalized the Shiroro-Kaduna line, which is a critical power source for northern regions. In response, President Bola Tinubu has directed military support to safeguard repairs. Adelabu explained as a temporary solution, power will be supplied through the Ugwaji-Makurdi line, which can cover about 80% of affected states. Additionally, he noted that security agencies are actively working to access the vandalized grid area. Full restoration is expected within 14 days once repairs on the damaged lines are complete. And still on the world news at 6, we move on to Rivers, where a chieftain in the Niger Delta region and former president of Uzor Youth Worldwide, Asari Dokubo, has warned President Bola Tinubu and Minister Nyesom Wike that any attempt to remove Rivers State Governor Simfubara from office will have severe consequences. Dokubo made the disclosure in an interview via a monitored television program this morning. We can also recall that Fubara has been in a quagmire with his former godfather Nyesom Wike, who is at odds with each other over the control of the political structure in Rivers State. Well, Asari Dokubo has accused the president of backing Nyesom Wike against having to tip off or top off Fubara in Rivers. Let's quickly take a very brief listen to Asari Dokubo earlier today while on the Monitor television program this morning, where he was literally given a breakdown on his suggestion concerning the scrapping of the NDDC, as well as his reaction with the Wike Fubara tussle, including the implementation or the backing of the president to the entire fiasco. Let's take a brief listen.
Personal relation, Bola Tinubu is personal. I am a representative of my people. I was chosen and elected by my people to lead them based on a broad-based grassroots movement, the Joy Youth Council. Having said that, like I said before, we were in the trenches with Bola Tinubu, and he's the least person we expect to have taken this decision. This ministry came into being on the blood and sweat of the people of the John Nation. I was incarcerated in 2005, and the struggle started, the agitation started soon after the former governor of Bayelsa State, Alamesia, was also incarcerated. Oil production came down to 700,000 barrels. And in order to assuage, in order to placate the job people, Yaradua started with a 7-point agenda. And one of these 7-point agenda was the issue of the Niger Delta. And the Niger Delta Ministry was created by President Yaradua. Now, like I was saying, I don't know whether you got me, the people of Ogoni and Ijo said if for us to be part of an independent Nigeria, the issue of underdevelopment of these two nationalities must be addressed. And at that time, oil was discovered mostly in the territories of these two nationalities. We are talking of law. We are not talking of effectiveness. The wishes and caprices of a leader does not amount to the law of the country. NDDC was created by law. It was not created by wishes and caprices of a leader. That when I decide a thing, it becomes law. But the law had not been amended. So what we are talking about, who decides what is effective? Everything about Nigeria is inefficient because of corruption, because of wanton corruption. There is corruption everywhere. So that is corruption. All institutions are affected by constitution, are affected by corruption. So nobody would say that it is always the Niger Delta that is not efficient. What we are saying, you yourself had said, I called for the scrapping of NDDC last year. When I said they should scrap NDDC and return unparted, which was the right nomenclature for that body called NDDC. And then create a special authority as it was before for the Niger Delta. Having said that, they have created Southeast Development Commission, Northeast Development Commission, whatever development commission. Where is the money going to come from? The money of the Icho, Ogoni, Ishekri people and Igbo people. They tell us that oil is no longer important in the world, but it is our oil money they are using. You know, they want to make you feel inferior, look little. But each time they tried it, they exposed themselves. I supported Mr. President because I knew him before he became senator. I knew him before he became governor. I knew him before he became president. And God willing, if we're alive, I will also know him when he ceases to be president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. But what I'm trying to say, this is not about me. This is not about an individual called Asari and Ahmed Bola Tinubu. It is about my people. And when I'm speaking about my people, take me out of the way. I'm an individual. My relationship with President Ahmed Bola Tinubu was very robust. And at all times, the benefit I derived from that relationship was one-way traffic, was from Ahmed Bola Tinubu alone. His coming out for presidency was the only time I was able to pay him back. And I did. And even if he comes out tomorrow, I will still do it. Because at the time, General Olusegun Obasanjo buried me alive. He stood by me. And I'm not going to be in a hurry to forget that. But that is personal between both of us. That is why I am crying out. Because I am vigorously liable to any infraction of the expectation of the Nigerian people, not just Niger Delta people. Because I stood in front of everybody. And I'm not going to deny what I said. Even if it is tomorrow, Ahmed Bola Tinubu encounters any problem, difficulty, I will still stick out my neck and stand. Because at the time he stood for me, I would have been dead. I would not have been in this program talking to you. Obasanjo would have killed me. If not for people like Ahmed Bola Tinubu who stood by me and did everything for me. I met President Ahmed Bola Tinubu. I met him, both in camera and behind camera. And he asked me, are you interested in pipeline? He will be listening now. And I told him, I'm not interested in pipeline. He's alive. I told him, I am not interested. But I can assist those who are doing the pipeline contract in any way I can for your government to succeed. But I'm not interested. So I never said that it was personal gain I was looking for. I clearly said in all my broadcasts that my needs are very small. My needs are very small. So what I'm trying to say, and it's very clear, President Ahmed Bola Tinubu becoming president, I should be able to tell him the truth. And what is happening in Rivers State, where President Ahmed Bola Tinubu is supporting Nyesom Wike to destabilize Rivers State, to disturb the peace of Rivers State. And as a stakeholder in Rivers State, I feel disappointed, totally disappointed. For the president to allow his ministers serving under him to run amok, procure judgments, and all sorts, threatening the people of Rivers State. Because what they are trying to do is, we're going to remove FOBRA and nothing will happen. And I'm saying that if you remove FOBRA, something will happen.
You just listened to Asari Dokubo via an interview organized earlier today via Monitor television station. Meanwhile, the Senator Orji Uzor Kalu, the current chairman of the Senate Committee on Privatization, recently addressed claims concerning his support for President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. He clarified that his loyalty to the president is not motivated by personal interest or any attempt to influence his past cases with the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. He made his position clear in a detailed social media post today on Monday. This response was in reaction to comments made by Dr. Ruben Abati, a former presidential spokesperson and prominent TV anchor who had questioned Kalu's intention regarding his support for President Bola Tinubu. Now, during a recent broadcast, Dr. Abati made a statement saying many Nigerians are supporting Tinubu because it was under his tenure that his case was dismissed due to lack of diligent prosecution, incompetent filing of processes, and the EFCC was even prohibited from ever bringing up the case again. Well, addressing Abati directly, Kalu remarked, and I quote, "Ruben, I'm a member of the ruling party. Let me make it clear, I am not even afraid of death. You know me well enough to understand that I'm not intimidated by anyone. I speak my truth openly, and my support for the president and my party is purely out of loyalty and conviction." However, he concluded with some advice saying that if you are committed to journalism, remain in that role. But however, if you aspire to enter the political arena, then it's time to step up. This was Orji Uzor Kalu disclosing to Ruben Abati concerning his remark about the fact that he is plying to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu so that his case with the EFCC may be put or rolled under the carpet. You're currently listening to the World News at 6 right here on Voice of the People 90.3 103 FM. We'll take a very short break. When we return, we'll head into a news analysis segment where I'm currently trying to contact my analyst this evening in the person of Barrister Friday Nzako. However, if Barrister Friday Nzako is not able to respond, I will definitely have to call another analyst to help give us insight or possible proper details into some of the issues that we discuss right here on the World News at 6. To kindly stay with us. All right, thank you for staying with us. While I still try to connect with my analyst, let's move on to more news stories. President of the United States of America, Joe Biden, on Tuesday, which is today, had a phone conversation with President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. This was disclosed by the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Ambassador Yusuf Toga, while briefing State House correspondents about the development. Toga said the call, which took place at precisely 4 p.m. Nigerian time, lasted for about 30 minutes. According to the minister, also, he disclosed that a discussion with Biden centered on the recent release of the head of finance crime compliance at Binance, Tigran Gambarian. Toga said President Tinubu also appreciated Biden for the partnership and collaboration in numerous cases with regard to security in Africa and West Africa at large. Also, he disclosed at the same time that the president thanked the United States for the partnership and collaboration in numerous areas. He also discussed the issue of permanent seat in the United Nations Security Council, and Biden assured that the United States is committed to seeing Africa having a permanent seat and does not see why one of those seats belong to Nigeria. Still in the same vein, he also disclosed that collaborative measures between the president as well as other European counterparts will continue to foster so long as issues are well resolved. He disclosed further that one of the issues through which peace can reign is for security to be taken seriously in areas that are quite volatile or prone. Meanwhile, the Osun State chapter of the All Progressives Congress has suspended former Minister of Interior Ogbeni Rauf Aregbesola over alleged anti-party activities. The OP News gathered that Aregbesola stands accused of creating divisions within the party by establishing a splinter faction. According to the Osun APC, Aregbesola's actions have undermined cohesion and unity, particularly during a critical period in Osun politics. The party claims that his moves have fueled internal divisions, prompting the need for disciplinary action. The suspension was announced in a resolution submitted to the APC National Secretariat and addressed the National Chairman, Dr. Umar Ganduje. While I'm trying to establish contact with my analyst this evening, one of the key questions I wanted to ask him is concerning the recent fuel increment from 1,000 naira, or literally 998 naira, to 1,025 naira. Most of the petrol dispensing outlets now have a meter displaying per liter 1,200. We already know how the situation could escalate further, and of course be reflected in almost all the domestic items required for any Nigerian's existence in this country, including demand and supply, investment, importation and exportation. And besides that, I told you concerning the situation as to how the level of hunger has permuted into every nook and cranny of the country. That today, just in Kaduna, we saw that video on social media where a truck fell and most of the edible items, which included rice, pasta and a couple of other items, fell along with the truck and they mixed with the dust and sand on the floor. The residents via that video were taking it along. They did not care that it was already mixed with the dirty sand. They were taking it along. It tells you how bad it also is. Also in the north, specifically the south, the northeast and northwest, where there have been total blackout, the Minister of Power, Adilabo, has assured that power will be restored in the next 72 hours. You do know that the Shiroro power plant was actually vandalized by insurgents, and since that particular incident, that aspect of the region has not gotten electricity, which has caused a lot of businesses to shut down, and most of the residents trying to cope can no longer cope because they have no electricity or no alternative power supply. Well, also another issue I wanted to discuss with Barrister Fred Nzako is concerning the situation with the former Abia State Governor, that's Orji Uzor Kalu, actually stating categorically that he doesn't mind if his life is taken, but that he supporting the president's administration is not for any political gain, rather is basically trusting the process. Well, you recall that there was a particular interview that was had recently with one of the major anchors on Arise television, that is specifically Ruben Abati, where of course that particular conversation held sway, and the question was asked precisely to him if basically a lot of Nigerians feel that his support with the president is because he thinks that in some way or the other that somehow the EFCC will no longer pursue his case. Now the question is this: could that be the truth? And if that is not the truth, why come out to vehemently oppose that particular insinuation? Because he used the opportunity to reprimand Ruben Abati to be quite astute in his practice in journalism. And of course, Kalu, as we know, is currently representing Abia North Senatorial District. He used the opportunity to dismiss Ruben Abati's claim, calling it an insult to himself and the president. And he also disclosed that despite the respect he has for the journalist, he has also known him for a very long time and was not expecting him to throw such an insinuation at him. He used the opportunity to remind him that talking about the judiciary, and because it is about discussing the importance of unity in the country, that his case has gone through the court, and so it's not about dismissing the case with the EFCC, but it's basically standing on what is fair and objective. These were some of the few questions I would have loved to ask Barrister Fred Nzako concerning some of these claims, because he had actually categorically stated that he is not afraid of death, and this was how he vehemently disclosed to Ruben Abati during that particular response to the supposed claim passed on by the journalist. Well, we have to wrap up the world news right now at 6 on Voice of the People 90.3 FM, and just before we go, here again are the top stories. You heard that President Bola Tinubu's government has increased fuel price again. Wale Edun speaks after Tinubu's meeting with Dangote. Minister of Power gives update on power crisis in the north, promises restoration in 72 hours. And finally, Asari Dokubo threatens President Tinubu, warns Wike to back off Fubara. That's a wrap on the world news at 6 right here on Voice of the People 90.3 FM. Good evening and thank you for listening.